Welcome back. Attorney Jim Higgins from the Higgins firm is back, and we are talking about wrongful death cases, one in particular, Bernie Mac's widow now suing. How do you go about proving something like this, Jim?
Well, in her case, what she's done is apparently Bernie Mac, when he was feeling ill, he had gone to one physician, and then later he had gone to another physician that was his dermatologist, and he had cut lesions from him and things like that before. And when he came in, according to the doctor, according to his records, he wasn't feeling good. He decided not to remove the lesions as he normally does, and he had Bernie just rest in his office for like 9 hours, which is kind of strange that it was that long. And what the widow is saying is that the doctor should have recognized that he was having a pulmonary or cardiac problem, and that she should have gotten him to the hospital, that he waited too late, that because of that, it was too late by the time he got to the hospital and he passed.
Now, is this something that across the board, I mean, it seems like a fine line, like who's to determine, who's the doctor's supposed to be the expert, and then, you know, of course, you're upset because there's a death and all that. It's
Sure.
like, I imagine that there's a very fine line on how this is determined.
What we call a failure to diagnose case. They are tough cases. And what is different about this case to me from the most that I see in my office is usually if I have a case like this, I've got somebody that goes to an ER, they're complaining of chest pains, or complaining of symptoms that you would normally, a doctor or anyone would say, this person's having a heart attack. And they either are just set in the ER for an extraordinary long amount of time waiting when something should be happening, or they're turned away and said, hey, it was indigestion. And those are a little cleaner when we have those cases. What is different about this case is Bernie Mac was not going to an ER saying, hey, something's wrong with me.
Right.
He was going to a dermatologist for something totally unrelated to his symptoms. And that doctor just happened to notice that something's not right with this guy. So I think what the defense will be in this case is a person came to me and presented no symptoms to me and wasn't there to see me because he was in some life-threatening event.
Exactly.
What the widow will have to say is hey, you're a doctor.
Yes.
That's right. And you knew something was wrong, or you wouldn't have told him to lay down there, and you wouldn't have called this other doctor. He had double pneumonia, which just initially it continued to worsen, and he shut down.
Well, and that's the thing. I think, you know, the one thing that raises a red flag is definitely that she had him rest, but to rest for 9 hours. I mean, that's the other thing that I think people are going to go, there was something strange here. You would think that that doctor would have said, let's take you to the ER, let's get you looked out.
Right. I think once the case gets going, a few things always happen to clear up. Records are going to be the big thing. Did he take vital signs? What did they show? Whether you're a dermatologist or whatever, you know if someone is in distress or if they're having a cardiac problem. You should know those things.
So as family members then, we're running out of time, but as family members or someone involved, is it a good idea then to take notes as something's happening when there's a medical, there's a medical emergency?
Yeah,
make sure you take notes and document what's happening.
You don't think about it at the time.
You don't think about it at the time. People come to me 6 months after something's happened often. I mean, it's often, and it's hindsight, and they say, why did he sit there in that ER for 4 hours? I mean, that's what happens. It's hard to do something while you're there other than be persistent and say, we need treatment now.
Right.
Exactly. All right. Well, if you have more questions, contact our legal eagles, the Higgins firm. It's 1-800-705-2121, online at thehigginsfirm.com, or email the questions to us, TennesseeMornings@fox17.com.